Foreign Affairs Select Committee. Spoke to her yesterday. Alicia Kearns, hi. You must be relieved somewhat.
I think enormous relief, but I think all of us need to hold MOD, Foreign Office, all the armed forces and everyone on the ground in Sudan in our hearts, because as we all know, the ceasefire didn't hold on Saturday for more than 3 hours, and this is our window to get people out. So I think we all have to hope as hard as we can.
OK. It is supposed to be 72 hours. There are 4,000 Brits either holding a passport or dual nationality, so obviously holding a passport for other reasons, married to Brits or whatever. 4,000, 72 hours. Do the maths.
The numbers don't necessarily add up, but at the same time, we know that not everyone who has registered with the Foreign Office of those numbers actually wants to be evacuated. So look, they've said they want to get passport holders out. They're going to prioritise women, children, the vulnerable, those with medical needs. That is absolutely the right thing to do. But it is a race against time, and we just have to hope that during this period of the ceasefire, the diplomatic work doesn't stop. So the goal now has to be, what happens next? How do we make sure that this doesn't transition back to conflict, but transition to some sort of formal peace talks or negotiation beyond that?
And what role can the Brits play in that?
Absolutely key. We are the UN Security Council, what's called a pen holder, which means essentially we lead on Sudan at the UN Security Council. Clearly, the Americans have taken a big role in the ceasefire. I'm really proud of the fact that James Cleverly was right, that we could get a ceasefire. I had my doubts. So now the UK needs to continue the role it's playing currently in convening and talking to partners around the world. And we need to make sure we don't see a return to violence.
So what role can we say the Brits have played in this ceasefire?
I think we'll be finding that out probably, hopefully today at some point, when we'll hear a statement, hopefully, from the Foreign Secretary. But it is quite clear that the diplomatic work has been constant. He's been speaking to all our allies, the African Union, the Emiratis, the Americans. The Americans announced the ceasefire, though, so it does look like they were first and foremost in organising it.
OK. 72 hours is generally just a window to allow those who want to leave to be able to leave. It's not as straightforward as that, though.
No. This is still incredibly complex. We have two warring factions. These are not well-organised, well-managed, well-trained armed forces. You could have renegade factions within it. You will have individuals who will be high on the joy of looting, who could commit further crimes. And that is why British nationals need to stay where they are and only come forward when they are contacted by the Foreign Office, because a plane is waiting for them and they're ready to be able to move them safely to the evacuation point.
Is your understanding that it will be an airlift rather than sea?
At this point, they are going to continue to use the airlift just north of Khartoum. However, we know that that airstrip has been degrading. It's not of high quality. And the Foreign Office did suggest that they may look at other routes depending on how things go forward. And we know there are French ships and UK ships within the region. So they may just be waiting to bring those forward should the airlift either not be able to get enough people out at speed, or if there are problems that arise with that. And
those will be just military aircraft? I mean,
yes, I imagine.
Given what happened in Afghanistan, we won't bring in, like, 380s from British Airways or whatever.
I suspect it will be Hercules and other aircraft that are expert at landing even the most difficult of circumstances, but we will have to wait and see.
How do we make sure it's not Afghanistan 2.0?
I mean, it's such a different situation to Afghanistan. This is very limited. There are so many more threats, so many more complexities to this. The reality now is making sure the Foreign Office can contact everyone, because the big worry is, yes, people registered with the Foreign Office, but telecoms have gone down since then. Electricity has gone down, so people's phones might not be charged. So now the Foreign Office will be doing the most impossible task, which is contacting every single person. And those they can't contact, we've got to work out how to reach out to them.
Shouldn't we have been doing this before now?
I would have liked to have seen an evacuation at an earlier point, but James Cleverly took the position that it was not safe to evacuate before there was a ceasefire.
Other countries did.
They did, but at the same time, French and Turkish nationals were shot at. There is a French Marine that is now in a critical condition. James Cleverly's view was he did not want to see a British child shot at while being evacuated, and that suggests that that's because he was so close to the ceasefire negotiations that he had high hopes that it would be agreed. But yes, I was gravely concerned. I wasn't confident a ceasefire could be achieved. They've proven me wrong on that, so now we have to hope that it holds and they can get people out. But yes, we had been pushing very hard for evacuation. Clearly they had been considering it, but thankfully they got the ceasefire and now we can evacuate people in safety.
And you are confident that 4,000 people can come out in 72 hours?
I'm not confident 4,000 want to, but...
OK, let me rephrase the question. Those who want to come out will be able to get out in 72 hours?
I have to hope. And in diplomacy, if you don't have hope, you have nothing. But is that an enormous feat? Is it an enormous task? Yes. But the government has also suggested that they'll be leaning quite heavily on other partners from around the world. So it may be that others are going to help us get some of ours out.
OK, busy day ahead for you. Please keep us informed. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.